Welcome to the Juris Law Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Juris Law Podcast with Kimbrough Stevens and Shane Cox. I'm Matt Skye. Kimbrough serves as managing attorney and Shane as chief legal counsel at Juris Law Group. With rich backgrounds in healthcare and elder law, they help families navigate the complexities of long-term care, asset protection, and estate planning. Guys, thanks for joining today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Let's jump into it. What personal reasons led you to start a career in law and specifically to focus on elderly planning?
You know, that's a good question. I've been an attorney for some time, since 1988. However, a few years ago in my law practice and what I was doing in life, my mother became ill. She had liver cancer. We went through all the machinations of how to get her care, how to pay for it. And she eventually passed away. And I knew at that time that there had to be a better way. I was a lawyer all those years, but I didn't know anything about elder law, how to care for seniors, how to protect assets, how to get the care you need, and the issues that went on with that. And so after her death, a few years later, I went into the practice of elder law. And it's really been rewarding, and I've enjoyed it ever since. And I know Shane has a little different story, but, he's kind of followed me into this profession. I let him speak his mind on that.
Yeah, that's right. I moved into Little Rock in 2006 to actually work for his family and for him. And I thought I had an idea about going to law school until I actually got there. And then I'm like, he enjoyed law school a lot more. We both agree we like helping people. We like helping the elderly. I certainly like helping the elderly a lot more than being a student. So I think that's specifically why I chose elder law, because you were doing it. And
that's important work for sure. Let's dive a little bit into Medicaid. I don't know if everyone always understands clearly how it works.
So Medicaid is a big part of our practice. We do a lot of education on Medicaid. We try to demystify Medicaid because Medicaid is not well understood. And a lot of people feel like you have to go broke, you have to sell your home to pay for care, and then, or the state or the nursing home, a lot of people think it's going to come get your house. But none of that's true. It doesn't have to be true, that is. And so we spend a lot of our time helping seniors navigate Medicaid, how to get on benefits without going broke. And that's a big part of our practice, and we're very proud of what we're able to accomplish for people. We kind of can wave a magic wand a little bit sometimes, and it seems unreal to folks that we can actually save things for them. But that's a big part of our practice. And Shane has been working in that area as well with me as we started this process.
Is it ever too late to apply for Medicaid?
No. And again, we can help people even if you're in a nursing home. A lot of people think it's too late. A lot of people think, well, you can't give anything away. So typically what we say to folks is if you can plan ahead, we need about 5 years. There's a lot of people that understand the 5-year look back. And all that means is that Medicaid's going to count gifts for 5 years up to the time that you apply. But that doesn't mean that you can't make gifts. It doesn't mean that you can't protect assets, even after you're in a nursing home. So we say to folks, for instance, if you're married, we can save typically 100% of your money, even if you haven't planned ahead. Because of the fact that you're married, there's something called the spousal impoverishment rule that we're allowed to transfer assets to the wealth spouse in a way that protects the entire estate, at least for the first spouse who's in a nursing home. Also, even if you're single, when you wait to the last minute, we can typically save at minimum half of your estate. So you never have to go broke. You never have to sell everything. So yeah, it's never too late.
How common is it that Medicaid applications are denied? Why is that?
Well, because the devil is in the detail. And it may be that you may qualify on paper, but to get the paper through the bureaucracy is another matter. And there's always questions. People don't understand why they need this, why they need that. A lot of people come and say, well, what do they need to know that for? Well, because that's their job. That's their job to make sure that you fit within the qualifications. And so a lot of people don't understand the detail. If you don't get the paperwork in timely, and upon request, if you don't give them the information, you get what we call a procedural denial, meaning that there's a piece of paper missing or there's some missing information. And so it doesn't matter whether you actually do qualify or not, you're going to be denied. So most people are denied for two reasons. One is they don't get the proper paperwork in. But secondly, if you don't know the qualification rules, you may apply and be wasting your time because you have no idea what the rule is. So really the moral of that story is you need a professional to guide you through it. So they can tell you whether you qualify. If you don't qualify, what can you do to qualify, and to help them with the paperwork through the system.
And Shane, what do you do when your Medicaid application is denied?
So, as Kimbrough said, a lot of times that's going to be a procedural denial. I mean, it doesn't always have to be. An application could be denied for various reasons, like for the applicant not qualifying medically. But typically, if a person's already in a nursing home, they're going to meet that qualification. So it'll be a procedural denial a lot of times. And like he said, even though you otherwise qualifies, it's because something was left off and you get denied. Here's an important thing. Most people without seeking an attorney are not going to go anywhere from that point. If they try to produce the information, it's not going to go anywhere. It's very likely that the application will be denied. Attorneys don't make these decisions at the state. It's actually caseworkers that make the decisions, and they just seek out the attorney's advice whenever they need their questions answered. So they're not in any way legally trained per se to actually make any kind of qualifications in that regard. They're just checking off boxes. And if you didn't hit one of those check boxes, that's a procedural denial. And unfortunately, you're not going to get the benefit.
Are there common misconceptions people have about Medicaid? It sounds like there are a lot of complexities to navigate.
There is. Absolutely. Yeah. And unfortunately, I can tell you, as a lot of these things, the myths or misconceptions it's being propagated by a lot of the, healthcare providers, not everybody, but just, a lot of the parties that are involved in the treatment of elders. And so, in other words, a lot of the myths are coming, unfortunately, from the nursing homes. And we hear a lot of our clients come in and they're being told by the nursing home representatives that they should sell their house, their personal residence, to be able to get some funds to help private pay. And then at the end of the point where they have no more money in their account, that the nursing home representative will file the Medicaid application for free for them and get on medication and Medicaid. So that is one big myth. That's one big myth we're trying to undo. You don't have to be broke to get on Medicaid. And so Medicaid lets you have a principal residence. So that rule in itself, there's all kinds of structures and different things we plan around that to make sure that the house, or at least the funds for the house, if you do it ahead of time, can be fully protected, so that when you pass, the house or those funds can safely go to the family or friends as a part of the estate plan. Now,
what is the look back period, and why is that so critical when it comes to understanding Medicaid?
So essentially, and this is another myth, it's a very good question. A lot of people know this 5-year rule, but they don't really fully understand how it works. So, and when you don't understand how things work, you make decisions accordingly, right? So a lot of times when people don't understand this 5-year rule, they'll think they've given something away within 5 years of needing Medicaid, and so they should wait 5 years to actually apply. And that can be devastating. Imagine 5 years of having to private pay. Your assets are being depleted by around probably $8,000, $9,000 a month until there's nothing left because you don't understand the rule about the 5 years. So here's the rule. Essentially, from the date of application, Medicaid looks back and sees whether you've given something away and whether or not you've gotten fair market value for it. So if you need Medicaid and you have given something like away, like a house, or you funded a trust, anything like that, or you just gave $10,000 away to your family member, they're going to penalize you based on the value of what you gave away, an account, a house, anything. And essentially there's a divisor, and what happens is they end up penalizing you for X amount of months, depending on the value of the property. So, and everybody's situation is a little bit different. If they've given something away, it may be better for them to wait. Or if it was a very little amount, maybe it's best to go ahead and file the application now. So because people don't understand that rule, they make mistakes.
And Shane and Kimbrough, I'd love to get your take on this. Is it ever too late? Say if my partner, for example, is in a nursing home facility.
We like the folks to come to us. We had a case this week. They had come to one of our seminars for estate planning, and they said, well, we need to come see you because my sister's in a nursing home right now. And I said, oh, okay, well, is she on Medicaid? And they said, well, no. I said, well, how is she paying for care? Well, she's just opened up her checkbook. I like to say to people, they've set their money on fire. And so I'm saying, well, we can help her save some of that money. Like I said a minute ago, we can save at least half of someone's money, typically. So in this situation, it's never too late. As a matter of fact, as long as you're paying out of pocket private pay, there's a chance that we can stop the bleeding. Or at least we can stop some of it or most of it, depending on the circumstances of each case. The tragedy of that is the sooner they had started this, the more they could have saved. So, if and like the gentleman said in our seminar, I said, well, I wish I'd come to y'all a year ago. She's been doing this for the last year. I said, well, that's all money that we can't get back. But that, if they had done this previously, we could have helped them. So really the point of entry into the nursing home, if they don't have a plan to get on Medicaid, everyone needs to have a plan at that time. And if they don't know about it and they don't know they can do it, most people just go along because they were told just pay the bill, and when you're out of money, we'll help you get on Medicaid. Isn't that a great idea? Let's just spend all our money. And right. When we're done, maybe the nursing home will take good care of us, hopefully. That's not a good idea.
Shane, what is some advice you have for adult children in Arkansas on how to approach the topic of elder planning and Medicaid planning with their elder parents?
There's a lot of different possible factors that go into that. Like, as in a lot of our elders, especially males that are older, they don't want to feel like power's being taken away from them, especially if they start to lose incapacity. Just talked to somebody yesterday about that. And so it's a delicate subject as far as, planning for a person that's been working for so many years and acquiring assets to say, hey, we're going to have to restructure this, or we're going to have to give this away, or we're going to have to fund this trust, and we need you to sign here. It's not that easy. And so a lot of times they feel like their families are kind of taking power away from them by not filling them in. So it's very, very important, in my opinion, when you speak to your parents, when you speak to your elderly parents about this, that you explain, you understand what you're talking about. You explain that, you're going to seek hopefully trusted professionals and kind of the best you can to explain, this is a setup, not necessarily so that you might, that you're going to get on Medicaid, but we're doing it so that we can protect you if you have to. Even if you don't, there's still other types of protection, and you're not going to lose control. We're going to, we as the children or as the family members are going to help. We'll be here to help, but you can, there's still a large element of control you or your spouse will have as elders, even in doing this.
And how do you approach that topic when there's so much sensitivity involved? How do you approach that with empathy?
Yesterday, I had a client tell me that her husband, she was an elderly lady, and her husband has got dementia, and he's becoming suspicious of like the hospital workers and different people that are part of his treatment plan. And so she figured any kind of legal work that she was going to do with their estate, he was going to have some issues about trusting and maybe not even doing it. So we discussed it, and, after a consultation, which we did for free, by the way, we decided that it might just be simple enough just writing the trust, even though he might not be the trustee, but writing his name on the trust with his wife so he doesn't feel like he's completely removed from the process. So it really is individualized, and you have to just be honest. Clients need to tell us everything. Is a huge component of psychology that goes into this. So, I think at the end of the day, most people don't want to feel like they feel like they want to be able to trust the people that are helping them, and they don't feel like they want to lose control. So those two things are big in elder law.
Kimbrough, what's your take? This is such a sensitive issue.
Like I said, I came into this later in life as far as elder law. Prior to that, I was in healthcare, primarily mental health. So I was around a lot of situations involving counseling with clients related to mental health matters. I was involved in running psychiatric services for many years. So I've got a lot of familiarity with, sort of being a lay counselor in some ways. And really the main thing is you have to learn to listen. You have to, you have to be able to communicate well with the family and let them know that we're here to help carry that burden for them, and so that they don't have to feel burdened down with all the details. I mean, a lot of the time is people are scared. Mm-hmm. They're fearful. They're afraid that they're going to go broke, that they're going to outlive their money. And part of the issue is just reassuring them that, no, there's a process we can help you with. You won't have to be destitute. And that helps a lot when it comes to helping folks feel better about planning, because really these are difficult situations. Having a listening ear really goes a long way.
If you can, tell me the importance of having an attorney when it comes to estate planning.
Well, estate planning, if you don't know what you're doing, and if you try to do it on the internet or try to do artificial intelligence to help you create a document, it can often lead you in a situation what you intended to do is not going to happen because there's something missed, as Kimbrough spoke about earlier, maybe some procedural thing. So it's just general estate planning on your own can be very costly if you don't know what you're doing. There's a lot of myths. There's a lot of misunderstanding. Medicaid planning is near impossible to do on your own if you have any substantial assets. It's easy to get a person who's broke on Medicaid, but it's not so hard if they have some amount of assets above their residence. So it is super critical. And it's important not just to get an attorney, but it's going to be important to get an attorney that's going to answer the phone after you've paid them. And that is what separates us from so many other attorneys, is because we warrant our product and we continue to help the person with whatever they need. If someone comes in 5 years and wants to do a Medicaid application for their elder that may get on Medicaid at some point in the future, we're going to be the one 5 years later or whatever years later that's actually going to do the application for them. And you don't see that everywhere. There's several estate planners that have nothing to do with Medicaid. And there's several elder law attorneys that will prepare you a trust, but that have no idea, or they won't file the Medicaid application. And we do all this.
This is for both Shane and Kimbrough. We covered a lot of topics today. As we wrap up, if you had one major takeaway for our listeners, what would that be?
My major takeaway would be, and this is a big one, if you're doing estate planning and specifically looking into Medicaid, Arkansas is one of the few states where you can do a fairly simple process and at the very least protect your house. And we can tell you more about that. But even if you're in a nursing home, it doesn't mean you don't have to lose your house.
Yeah, and the one takeaway I would add to that is you never have to go broke in a nursing home. So please, whatever you do, if you seek professional assistance, make sure they understand the Medicaid rules. Not just any attorneys out there understand them. Most people think you have to go broke, but you don't. So the one takeaway today is, regardless of when you enter a nursing home, whether it's after you've done so or beforehand or whenever, you do not have to go broke. So that's the takeaway I would offer today.
Well, I think we've debunked some very important myths. Everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Juris Law Podcast with Kimbrough Stevens and Shane Cox. For more information or to connect with our team, visit jurislawgroup.com. Kimbrough, Shane, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.